This is something I feel I need to keep doing now, despite how it makes me feel. I've been on the carnivore diet for 11 months now, and in that time, things have changed a lot for me. And in this video, I want to explain. Just before we get started, please smash the like button and also subscribe. This really helps out the channel, and I am grateful for your support. Let's get into it. First, it's important to know that what I'm going to say in this video is nothing negative about the carnivore diet. It's kind of a flow-on effect from having been on the carnivore diet for almost the last year. In fact, like many other people, the carnivore diet has changed my life. My sleep, mood, and focus have improved. I've reversed my gum disease and arthritis. The long-lasting effects I had from a stroke that happened 30 years ago have improved and continue to improve. I've lost 34 pounds of fat and built muscle that I never could before. And I've met so many people in the carnivore community that have had similar successes. People who have lost hundreds of pounds of fat, reversed type 2 diabetes, and reversed many other metabolic diseases. Carnivore literally works miracles. And carnivore fixes chronic health issues that we've been led to believe are not reversible and just need to be managed with medications, and complemented with foods that make us more reliant on those medications. And so it makes me feel sick when we see reports and headlines all the time telling us about why we need to be plant-based, and how public advocates, food companies, pharmaceutical companies, and the medical profession are all pushing us in the direction of plant-based eating. And what makes this even worse is when you hear about governments considering legislation in this direction, or lobbyists pushing governments to do so. And the way I look at it is like this. If you want to be vegan or mostly plant-based, knock yourself out and leave me alone to eat the way I want. And I think that's the way it used to be. But I think now it's gone too far for one primary reason: money. Food companies have always known they can make lots of money producing addictive foods laced with sugar. For me, though, it feels like a more recent phenomena that these food companies are in bed with plant-based advocates in environmental groups. Environmental groups that would previously have been fully against the food manufacturers because of all the pollution and waste that they create. But it seems implicitly or explicitly they have teamed up. And perhaps the environmental groups feel like this: the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And I think the same goes for Big Food and Big Pharma. It may not be an explicit agreement, but I'm pretty sure they're aware of the benefits of coexisting. You make 'em sick, we manage the sickness. Rinse and repeat. But when governments become involved and lobbyists are also pushing governments, that gets to a whole new level. Let's look at the toolkit for local policymakers towards a plant-based diet, produced by New York University. Okay, so I became aware of this last night on Twitter, and this is just another thing to be frustrated about. This was actually produced in October 2021, and it's the first time that I'm going through the whole thing, but let's just take a quick look at the introduction. This is important. This policy brief presents a number of options that cities could use to encourage a transition away from meat consumption and towards plant-forward diets. While the focus of this policy brief is cities, most of the options presented here may be viable for other forms of local government to adopt, including towns and counties. There are many reasons to reduce meat consumption. First, doing so would improve human health. Okay, so we know where that's going. We know what they're going to say, factory farming of meat. Okay, well, I don't know that anyone doing carnivore actually agrees with factory farming of meat. And we've got the regular kind of reasons that meat should not be consumed and how it's dangerous. So we're just going to skip over that. We're going to have a look at some of their policy proposals. Okay, so we've got a summary of options here. And some of these are very indirect, right? They're not directly targeting something. They're kind of targeting around the corner, all right? But when you have a lot of these things that are all indirectly targeting meat and pushing more of a plant-based agenda, of course, eventually the plant-based agenda is going to win out, right? And, it's simple things like, the existing policy options. One of them is adopt targeted bans on certain animal-based food products, right? And, one of the new policy options is adopting targeted taxes on animal-based food products. Why do we need to put taxes on animal-based products? What we should actually be taxing, if we're going to tax anything at all, is the foods that are damaging people's health. And the foods that are damaging people's health are the stuff the food manufacturers are producing that go in those bright, shiny colored boxes. And you see, what we go into here is, trying to convince the local policymakers, cities' legal authority to regulate meat, and talks about the existing policy options. And it's if you've got someone in a local government position who is kind of, maybe they're not in the best metabolic health, maybe they've been told all their lives the reason is because of their meat consumption, they might be very amenable to this kind of document. But I'm not going to go through the whole thing, right? I'll leave a link to it in the description so that you can have a look yourself. But I want to talk to you about one last thing. We've often talked about how carnivore is a movement that needs to be bottom up. And I do think that's true. But one thing that we need to be aware of and always keep in mind is that the plant-based advocates have an advantage. They're pushing from the top, industry, lobbyists, and governments. And from the ground up, as shown from this document, local policymakers are being targeted, and local policymakers have a lot of impact and influence in each of their respective areas. And what I wanted to say is, no matter how frustrating this is, we should never give up promoting the carnivore diet and promoting choice in the way we eat. Anyway, I'd love to know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, guys. Please don't forget to click like and subscribe, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video.